If you've ever been curious about how do you create resources in Azure through the CLI, then you're in the right place because in today's video, I've actually got the perfect script that can take you step by step through that journey. And I'm going to walk you through creating and deploying a virtual machine that of course has the Linux operating system and of course Windows. And we're actually going to do that one first. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get it. So the prerequisites here, really, if you want to follow along step by step, is to just have Azure CLI tools installed, of course, using Visual Studio Code here. And if you've got an Azure account, then of course you need to be the administrator or have the proper permissions there. Here, I'm going to show you that it's a clean slate, no resource groups, and of course, just a subscription. But let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and actually take a look in the portal first, like I was noting. So this again is my account. And if we go to resource groups, then we see that I went ahead and emptied those out here for my account. So we're all set, no resources that are deployed here. And so we'll run through this top to bottom in different chunks. So we want to interactively get logged in. So we'll just run this command, az login. We see that this is going to shortly open up a web browser and ask you to sign into your account. If you're already signed in like I am here, then we're going to get this message here. We can go ahead and close it or click away, or it'll navigate us where we want to be. I'll go ahead and choose to close that tab. And then let's go ahead and get back here to the CLI. So I got some pertinent information there about my account. And then here we need to actually, if you're running this one, you're going to have a different subscription name. So you can insert that as you please there. And again, if we go to subscription, this is just going to be, I guess you call it canonical name, like just a straight up name that you can see there. And that's my name, VA Cyber Solutions. So that's why we got it inserted here. So let's go ahead and paste that in and go ahead and hit enter. Again, this shouldn't take too long, but we're just setting the stage again for running our code and just validating that we have the communication to Azure. So now, again, we saw that we had no resource groups, but if you're in an account and you already have one by chance, this one is just a command that's going to output our display. And once we create this resource group in the next step, then if we run it again, we should see it listed here. But we should have no access groups, again, a blank table there. And so resource group is really, it helps to organize and efficiently keep the resources such as the virtual machine, the NIC for the public IP address, the security groups and things like that close together. So really what we're doing here is we're going to create a resource group, and it's going to be named demo-rg, and it's going to be located in the Eastern US region. So if we go ahead and paste that one in there, this one should be getting created. And while that's doing that, let's go ahead and head on back here. Let's go back to home, go to resource groups, and we should see that pop up here very shortly. Let's see what we got. All right, it's just popped up as provision in the CLI, so we'll hit refresh a few more times. Well, there we go. All right, so that's the proper name, and of course tied to that proper subscription. And so again, I said earlier, if we go ahead and press up a few times and then hit enter programmatically through the CLI, through the APIs communicating with our Azure account, we're going to see that now displayed here. We saw it in the portal, but now we see it here in the CLI as well, in the status of success. So moving right along, that's step one, creating a resource group. If you already have it, or if you don't have one, if you already have it, then we just need to basically specify it here in the next step if you had one running. So what we have here, this command that we're going to run is we're going to deploy our Windows image first. But what if you happen to not know the correct syntax or the proper name, etc.? Then this command is very handy. It's going to basically list the most popular images that are used in the Azure Marketplace. Wait for this to populate. It's going to be in a tabular-like format. And we can see here, if we scroll over that let's see, let me actually zoom out a bit. All right, there we go. So we can see that its name, there we got the URN, and then actually let's just run that again since I zoomed out. It's a terrible output. Try to zoom in for the video. There we go. Let's try this one more time. All right, there we go. So actually that URN alias is kind of what we're going to use. We see we're actually going to be using the image of Win 2019 data center, and you can see that right here. And then when we get down to Linux, of course, we're going one step at a time. We're actually going to deploy this CentOS alias right there. So again, if you happen to just not know what the proper alias is, you can use that. And so let's go ahead and send back in just a wee bit. So now again, let's run through this. We of course are tying this resource before it gets deployed to this demo resource group that we created the step before this. We're going to name our image Win-2019-server. So whatever you want to name it. And then we just spoke about the image that we're selecting. And of course, the default username and password for the administrator account that's going to be created. Let me get rid of that asterisk there. And let's go ahead and copy this. And let's paste this in as well. Let's see, did I copy? Let's see, Control C again. There we go. There we go. Apologies there. And then this one's gonna take a bit, not 5 or 10 minutes, but it might take 2 minutes or so, maybe a minute and a half. But we see that it's starting and running. So I'll wait about 10 seconds and get back here in the portal, and we're gonna see the status of that. So if we go back to home, click on, or we could search for a virtual machine if it's your first time here. These are just some of the most recent services that I have been to or visited or frequented from playing around in here. But there we go. We see the name that we had there. Of course, the subscription that we, of course, did very early when we did the interactive login. And of course, the resource group. Again, if you already have one, you can just change that line and tie it there. And an Eastern US location. Status is creating operating system Windows. And though we had the alias, this is going to be the specific size there, the default, since we didn't specify it there. So this again, the next step, once it gets launched, the next two steps really is going to be to open up the remote access. Most of you may know that with Windows, RDP TCP port 3389 is the predominant way to access it. And so we need to open that inbound, of course, to the internet. And so we need to do that. And then after that, we need to see what the public IP address is so that we can then make our attempt to connect. So we'll give this some time. We'll hit refresh here a bit. Oh, we see that it is running. There is that public IP. We'll minimize this. And it looks like it's up. So that wasn't about a minute and a half, maybe. And like I said, this here is again creating that port that we're going to open up. We're going to name this resource group that we already have. We're going to specify demo-rg to tie everything together so that when we are ready to do a cleanup, we can just get rid of the resource group and tightly, neatly, in one seamless fashion, get rid of all of these resources. Here's what we're going to name it, and then port 3389. So let's go ahead and Copy that, paste this subset of commands. And really you see I always get confused with the forward and backslash, but this is the backslash. This is just denoting that we have a line that needs to be together. Resource group, did I name that wrong? Resource group is demo dash mark the resource. Actually we need to change this to this name. So the name of our image, I keep wanting to say instance from AWS, but that's actually the name of the instance that we're making those port modifications on. Apologies there. Clean that up. But like I was saying, that backslash just denotes that this single command, when we start indenting, that we need to continue. And then you see on the last line, almost like in JavaScript or certain languages, semicolon or etc. there. So we have that. That was pretty quick. And so now this next set is just going to list the public IP, although we saw it in the portal. If we want to see it programmatically here via the CLI, we're going to do the same thing. And I need to change this before we get another error. Oh, well, let's not do that. I'll just type it. When 2019 server initialize. And really, this is just going to be output or display it there to us. Now, if we were in the portal, there's a download file that you can basically double click on and it'll launch whatever your default RDP instance is there. But for us, if we just pull up command prompt here and we just type mstsc, then we will, I don't know if I copy that public address, but let's just do 40.71.208.158, and then we'll scroll up to get the credential. I think they can just ask us, or we can type it in, and this will be when admin. There we go. And let's copy this password. Enter the credentials. For now, we'll do remember me, although we're gonna blow this away as soon as it comes up. Don't ask me again. Self-signed cert. No proper certificate management here. And then this, of course, open up on my other display. But this, again, is now, we're basically have our remote session and access because we enabled that port or exposed it to the internet. It's the entire internet. We would have to go underneath the network settings if we were in the portal to limit it to like just our single host IP address. But for now, I don't know how someone, well, I won't say someone, there's other countries that are always probing the internet, but I was gonna say before I post this, if they're probing, this one's active now. But we see here, long story short, that our 2019 server is up. So again, you'll have to trust me. I'm not going to wait for this to load to try to just validate that it's server 2019. Or I guess it is loading. So we'll see here shortly. I guess I will wait. But we'll see. When 2019 server, and that's actually the name that we gave it. So the computer name inherited it. So we're all set there with Windows. So we'll go ahead and minimize this, keep the session open. And really, let's now go ahead and do the same thing to launch a Linux. So we are going to, we kind of outlined the image name that we're going to use. We don't need to create a user group. We're going to use the same one. So let's go ahead, and then the authentication type, we're going to actually use our key pair, public private key pair. And most folks, you may need to generate an SSH key, but this is the default location on a Windows box. So let's see, actually need to change. Now demo Linux, okay, the name is there. All right, one step at a time. So let's go ahead and get this deployed. And we'll see, make sure we see the creating before we hop on over to the portal. Linux one should be pretty quick. There we go, starting. All right, so now back here. Oh, not there. Apologies. Yeah, let's just rid of that. And let's go here's where we want. All right, so there's our virtual machines. We'll hit refresh and we'll see here shortly our Linux node pop up. Again, doing this video in real time, not really fast forwarding. It doesn't take too long. And I just talk through the silent spots, but we see that the Linux CLI is populating. And similar to our Windows, when this one's done, again, Linux, even on the AWS side, is way quicker than Windows. We see that we have our public IP address already there. All right, let's go ahead and minimize this and get back to the CLI. This one should be done shortly. But the next step we're going to go ahead and copy paste is really to expose port 22 for SSH. So we again are identifying the resource group for this resource and then the name of the, call it instance, but the virtual machine demo Linux CLI, they do match. So let's go ahead and do that. And that should be quickly. And we've seen, of course, this listing of the IP address. And this is just going to be to display that public IP, which we actually saw right there as well. So that we can go ahead and grab it and SSH. And where are we at? We'll scroll up to, well, there's our lin admin is our username. So we'll go ahead and copy this public IP address. When we're handed control back, we'll just SSH with the username of lin admin. And then we'll type, ooh, didn't mean that. I'll just, Control C. Apologies there. Gotta copy the public IP, but SSH lin admin at 13.90.253.85. We'll trust this fingerprint, this key pair. We'll hit enter, and shortly here we're in. So again, SSH, we just natively use the, for me, the bash terminal that we're in here. We can see there's not much activity here. We got a little bit of things there, and we can, of course, ping out. Though we have inbound communication, we know that we also have, well, we can't say outbound, but the requests are making it back, so we should have that as well. If we curl something beefy like ESPN, then we'll get all of the page contents from ESPN there. So we're good to go there, and anything that you want to do, good to go. So that's pretty much how simple it is to actually deploy resources, at least, you know, a Linux and a Windows operating system on a virtual machine. And now to clean up everything, we're just going to basically copy this. And this, again, like we said, it's beautiful to organize all of your resources underneath one resource group, especially when you're doing test or lab type of demonstrations like this. Oh, I gotta get out. Like, what do you mean this command ain't working? Let me get out of this exit. I'm not actually in the terminal of VS Code. There we go. So do it from here. Caught that one pretty quick. All right, so this again should be launching. Are you sure? It's gonna ask you that. I think in the portal you actually have to validate it. You got to paste in the resource group name and then hit enter to confirm. So let's visit this one more time. This will take a while. It knows on the background the order of which to delete the resources, but to get a good view of what's going on, let's actually target that resource group and let's get in there and let's see. Let's see, deleting right there. And this again, I think it took about 2 or 3 minutes just to preview earlier, just to make sure all was well. This part I won't hold you all for, but it is going to run through we just saw with a quick refresh some of the resources that were gone there already. And then, of course, the virtual machines will no longer exist. So we're down to 7. And but again, all in all, like I said, definitely let me know if there's anything else that you want to see, and hopefully, you're in a little bit better position from a knowledge-wise position than you were when you started this video. If you watched it this far, I'm definitely hoping that you got some value out of it. But I want to thank each and every one of you again out there for rocking with me. Encourage you to do this. I'm gonna upload the script to GitHub. Probably play around with some little bit of snapshots, some instructions, things, but I'll probably just put the URL for the YouTube video for anyone that needs to follow it. We're down to 5. But for the most part, that's it. So again, until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Peace.